What up, everybody? It's the Build Different podcast back again for another episode. Hope you guys are having a great, productive week. Today, we wanted to talk about branding. Obviously, being a company, being a startup, being a tech company, branding is something that you really have to get out in front of. Something that kind of sets you apart from your competitors, and something that it's a way that you kind of show the marketplace your thoughts on the experience you want them to have or the lifestyle you want them to live or who you are as a company. So obviously, as consumers, we all have brands that speak to us. We have companies that resonate with us. So we want to talk a little bit about that today and kind of circle back to the relationship we want to have with our consumers. So Sean, I know we kind of have a little back and forth. There's some fanboyism and some you have a lot of brand loyalty. We all do to certain products, and we kind of go back and forth and nudge each other about the various products we both enjoy using. What's a brand, and maybe we could kind of start with one that we kind of compete back and forth with, a brand that you like what they stand for, you like their products, and what would be that first brand that kind of comes to mind?
I mean, if you're looking for a back and forth one, the obvious one is Team Apple versus Team Android. I think we
Yes.
will knock the elephant out of the room pretty quickly. I have an iPhone. I also have laptops and stuff that are not iPhone, so I'm not full Apple everything like some people are. But I like Apple. I understand Ricky's reasoning for not liking Apple. I think
I
we both we both
I'll let
kind
you
of
finish.
we both kind of have similar thoughts on that. But to me, Apple just the reason why I like it, the reason why I'm probably never gonna have a different phone besides an iPhone is that I like the simplicity of it. I like that um, you know, like communicating with my social circle. A lot of us have iPhones. It's easier to communicate iPhone to iPhone. I know they're making some changes to make it so that iPhones can now not use SMS when they're messaging with Androids, which apparently is going to make things a lot better. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I got an iPhone back in the day because basically my friends told me if I didn't get an iPhone, I would get kicked out of our group chat. So uh, that was kind of like the thing that got me into it. But I don't see myself ever switching. I like the ability to FaceTime. I like, the camera quality on iPhones is usually pretty solid. So I just feel like their consistency as far as like the products they create are, I have never really had any issues with Apple, sending a dud product out. I feel like it's always been pretty much what I expected. Over time, all technology kind of becomes obsolete and, battery life and things like that. But I've noticed that with any phone, not just iPhone. So I don't consider that to be like that much of a negative one way or the other. But yeah, I'll let you go now and explaining your Android point of view.
Well, it's not that I don't like. I like Apple. I root for Apple honestly because I want an American manufacturer to lead the marketplace. But my issue with Apple is honestly Samsung is what I've been using lately. There's a lot of Huawei. There's OnePlus. All these companies are starting to out innovate them. I think obviously now with the Apple Vision Pro coming out, which I think is a really cool product. A lot of people, oh, the price is 3,500. That's just kind of the way it starts off the economics of a new product, a new groundbreaking product. It's going to be expensive. The early adopters are going to buy it. Then it's going to get better, and then more people price drops. People more regular users will use it. So I understand that was the same thing with iPhone. It's super expensive. Obviously, we all need phones. You don't need a Apple Vision Pro so to speak. But yeah, just they just stop innovating. You know what I mean? And so it's just the same iPhone every year with just upgraded capabilities. That's the thing I used to enjoy about Apple. Not that I ever had the product, but that they would just keep innovating and they would just do things that other people aren't. Most of the things they're doing now are more software related. But I like the hardware related features, like my phone, flip it, being able to open it like a book and have a tablet in your hands. I think that was one of the coolest things one of the most recent cool things about cell phones that made it different. And I was always, with technology, I always wanted to be different. So I hate standardization. I hate like everybody doing the same thing. So for me, I was always looking for that most cutting edge device. And everybody had their iPhone. iPhone led the charge for a long time, but then other companies started to do what iPhone was doing and then adding layers to it. So for me, like, yeah, the iPhone was cool, but Samsung started making a bigger phone. I wanted the biggest screen as possible. I liked watching movies. I liked the productivity, being able to check your email and do everything on it. You look at spreadsheets. So that's why I went to Samsung. I had like the one of the first notes, and then it just kind of grew from there. And Samsung, they keep producing different products. And then I think Android, with the Android system, you can choose a variety of phones. You're not just stuck with the one phone. You know what I mean? And so then Apple has the ecosystem too that's hard to break into, like Apple TV, like trying to watch it on my Samsung. What the hell? Like I have the subscription, why can't I watch? So that's been my issue with Apple. I love Apple. I love the thing I love about Apple is the brand loyalty they've been able to build, and then I love their commercial. I love their commercials. I love their marketing. And I love the relationship they have with their consumers, because they have lifers, you know what I mean? And you still go past the Apple store, people lined up down the damn hallway like it's some amazing new phone when it's just maybe a new camera sensor. So yeah, I like Apple. Android's just my jam, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think you hit a good point, and I don't disagree with you about the innovation part of Apple. I think, they've been like I've seen your phones. Your phones are always like your phone's flipping open and it has multiple screens and it's massive, and it's like I I can't argue with the innovation aspect of, Apple's been making the same phone for the past what, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is, like
Uh,
with minor differences, minor upgrades, minor changes. Um, but I think what you hit on, and this is why they've created this brand loyalty, is the ecosystem. They've built an ecosystem where
yeah.
your phone ties to your watch, ties to your headphones, ties to your tablet, ties to your laptop. They have all of them in sync, and then all of your friends have iPhones, and you want, like in order to tie with all of them, and like for example, like in a group chat, you can't name a group chat if not all the users in the group chat are iPhones. So like it's things like that that they do, and it's from a company perspective, from a business
It
perspective,
makes
it's
a lot of
smart
sense.
because it
Yeah.
makes it makes you want like it makes you kind of convince all your friends to get iPhones because then you can have all these extra things. So it's like it's one of these things that from an being in the ecosystem, I like it, but when people are communicating with me that aren't in the ecosystem, I find it annoying. So um, but it's like, is it annoying enough for me to convince them to try to switch to iPhone? Sometimes. I haven't been successful with Ricky yet. I've tried, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. Um, so, but yeah, I think it's one thing that they do well, and it's, and then obviously everything, whether you're on, like now they have Apple TV, Apple TV Plus, like the subscription. The whole app store is the same, whether you're on an iPad, an iPhone, wherever you are, like it's all on everything's the same. Everything's tied together. That's what really, to me, it's like, that's where they've done the work is, okay, we built it. So no matter what device you're on, it's all under the same platform, all under the same account, and I know other companies are trying to do that now. Google specifically is, putting in a lot of work to try to tie everything together through Google, but it's just Apple's so far ahead in that space that I think these other companies are still trying to figure out how they can do what Apple's doing in terms
Yeah.
of building that ecosystem.
Yeah, no, as a brand, I love Apple. I like Apple all around, but as a brand, that's where I really truly respect them. And yeah, the ecosystem is brilliant. Android, I like being an individual. I like having stuff other people don't have. I don't, I think we should all be able to, rock whatever we want to rock, and not be, I just hate uniformity. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like having an iPhone is. It's just like you see the same phones, everybody having the same phones, but from a brand perspective, I respect it.
And I think like tying this back into what this episode's all about is branding. How does Apple brand? They have the catchphrase "Think Different," which I
That's
think
100%.
that's one of the most hard hitting uh
Yeah.
like catchphrases in business right now.
It's
Probably
it's
ever.
like a hard hitting rap verse that like yeah, that's what Think Different is. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the logo is super recognizable. You see the logo, everyone knows what it is. No one's getting that confused with a different company. It's immediately recognizable. So things like that, from a branding perspective, from a marketing perspective, they've they've built such a huge. I mean, it's obviously Apple's such a huge company that everyone knows what it is anyways. Like it's not like unless you live under a rock or something, you know what Apple is. So
Yeah.
um, if I were to see, another logo like, some of these other companies that you said make phones, I probably wouldn't recognize them. Maybe I would
Right.
recognize Samsung, but outside of that, probably not. So it's like that's that's from a branding perspective, tying it back in. That's a huge advantage off the bat.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So going past the kind of the one that we are gonna have a little back and forth on, which really it wasn't. I have this footrest that I keep my foot on. If I slip off, yeah, almost took the whole laptop out. But no, going past the cell phone and kind of the the friction point there. What are some of the other brands that speak to you? I know there are a lot of brands that maybe have some social good that they do that it resonates with you.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of branding, brand recognition is obviously really important. Messaging is really important. If I can emotionally connect or believe
Hmm.
in, the concept of what your company's trying to do, that's really important to me. And I think the last part of it is consistency. I want companies that are going to put out a consistent product that I know I can trust. Like I don't want a company that every like every 10th product that they put out is a dud. Like that's not what I'm looking for. So
Hmm.
um I think, you know, from a perspective of like uh you know, clean energy and stuff like that, I'm a big fan of Tesla. I like, what they're doing. They kind of were the pioneers, not maybe not the first electric car, but they're kind of the ones who made having an electric car be a cool thing, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
um, they, and again, their logo is really recognizable. I am currently wearing a Tesla shirt for this episode. But I just think, companies like that, and then, and I like also what they're doing on the tech side, with what you were saying about innovation. I think that's another thing I really like about Tesla is they're constantly innovating, constantly making their cars better in terms of the features, the technology that they put in there. Um, in terms of ones that I really connect with the messaging, Hydro Flask is I use that for my water bottle. I really like its they have connections with like the national parks and you know trying to get rid of plastic water bottles and use
Yeah.
reusable water bottles. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of that, and corporate responsibility, doing good for the environment, doing good for society,
Hmm.
are things that I really believe in. And then another company that I really like is Bombas. They make socks. Um, I really like their performance socks for when I'm doing athletics or sports stuff like that. But another thing that I really like is that for every purchase that you make from them, they donate socks to someone who needs it at a homeless shelter or something like that. So I really appreciate that, giving back. Companies that give back, companies that stand for something more than just, hey, we're trying to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
Um, that is something that, is going to create that brand loyalty with me. But what about you? I want to hear about some of your, favorite companies, some companies that resonate with you.
I was just looking up one while you were talking because you brought up something. that I thought about. I never worn their clothing, but I love what they stand for. So a lot of these I've never personally used or owned, but from a standpoint of standing for something and social, corporate responsibility, I love what these companies are doing. But uh, any company that's trying to clean the environment and get rid of waste or anything, I'm all for that. And protecting animals, all for that. Uh, but the one I was harping on because I was actually going to volunteer or looking up is one that I was actually going to volunteer with one of my friends, Neil. Shout out to Neil and all his adventures under the water and everything, and trying to make the planet a better place because he volunteers with this group. And I wish I would have went because it was a beautiful body of water that we were going to be cleaning up. But For Ocean is one of them. So they do like ocean cleanup. So they have days where they just get mass amounts of people to come out and just clean up any type of waste or any type of trash that is found in the ocean. And I believe there's a lot of companies now that have actual systems that they've built. I forget the name of one company, but it was very, very, it was incredible the system that they built, where it was like a net, but it would bypass all of the marine life, but all of the plastic and waste would go into it. And this is just incredible how much waste is in our waters, and that all filters into some of the drinking water we drink, and some of the fish that people eat, and so it's a huge need. So shout out to all those companies doing that. But some of the companies I don't wear glasses, but Warby Parker and their commitment to solving blindness. So a lot of their resources that they garner through sales, they have a goal of helping people with blindness and curing blindness. Uh, the other one was I mentioned Patagonia. Uh, what was the other one that I was thinking? Bonobos, I think, was another one that had a very good one. There was one that I'm thinking about though that I had on my list that I didn't type up there. Warby Parker, Patagonia, Bonobos, any of these companies that have some type of social good that they're doing. I think that's key. I think it resonates and it makes people feel good about what they're buying. And at the end of the day, if you're giving back, uh, that's the name of the game right there. So that companies that do that, and it's like, yeah, we're in business to make money, but we're also in the business of making the world a better place. That's I can support that. And like I said, I don't wear glasses, but if I did, it would potentially be through Warby Parker because I want to give back.
Yeah, and I think, I completely agree. I think, any company who creates initiatives to give back or to, provide something where provide something that proves that, they're doing more than just making like whatever product it is and, making money from you. Like, to me, that's companies that need to be supported, need to be, published more, um and yeah, I completely agree. I love supporting those kinds of companies.
Tom's was the company I was thinking of. So every
Oh,
pair of
okay.
shoes you buy, they give shoes to a child in need.
Yep.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. So from a, switching switching gears a little bit from a branding perspective, obviously, what goes into branding, obviously, what a lot of the companies we just talked about, the reason why we like the branding of them is their messaging, their, community service, but branding also incorporates logo, your I don't think catchphrase isn't the right word, but I keep using it. I like
Your motto, your
your
credo,
motto,
your
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
catch,
so,
whatever. Yeah.
what are some companies that, whether it's logo, motto, something that like sticks out to you in terms of like that creates brand recognition? Like you see that and you immediately know, oh, okay, like I like that, or I like that's a good thing.
Well, I think one of the most simple ones, and the one that it just rolls off the tongue and it makes sense. Nike, just do it.
I was thinking
You
the
know,
same thing.
Nike, just do it. I mean, that's probably one of the, I think Apple think different was one of the hardest lines. I think Nike was, Apple with think different was kind of like the, some like a Nas Ether, like the it's that's what always kind of compared to like a rap verse where it's just like ooh, you always come back to that verse, or when you say it to somebody else. Think different is it goes hard, but I think just do it was just kind of like get off your ass and make it happen. You know what I mean? Stop sitting around. You stop talking about it. Be about it. And then it filtered into to Jordan Brand, and Jordan Brand, from a perspective of like a cultural type of product, a cultural type of movement, would be Jordan Brand. Not only because he's the most phenomenal basketball player to ever play, but it was just you think about it, and I still have to see Air, but you told me quite a bit about it, but it came at a time where like yeah, companies were giving athletes shoes to wear and they would rock them, whatever. But he was the first really athlete to put his stamp on a brand, and the like Mike commercials, and I mean it was marketing genius, and that's what's made it like almost a cultural product now. Like before, it was just a pair of shoes. You know, what I mean, you're wearing a pair of shoes to go play basketball. Now it's like a fashion statement. It's like a you're saying something when you put on a pair of Jordans. It makes you feel a certain type of way. People look at you a certain type of way. That's the cultural appeal that they were able to build through Jordan Brand. So from Nike, just do it, and to different variations, dunks to all of the different Nike product line, Air Force Ones. Nelly and all those people like back in the day made Air Force Ones like even more popular. They just became cultural icons. So you have kids now that never even saw Jordan play, or just they want Jordans and Nike. So yeah, that'd be one of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's funny is I think Michael Jordan was really the pioneer of like essentially creating like an athlete creating their own shoe line. Like
Mm-hmm.
before that, athletes has been sponsored by Nike, by Adidas, by all these other
Converse.
companies.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, a sponsorship meant, hey, I'm going to wear your shoes when I play, when I do commercials, whatever. I'll be in your commercials, I'll wear your shoes, like out, whatever. Like that was the agreement, was like you just wear, like they send you some shoes and you wear the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until Jordan that really it was like, I want to design shoes that are mine, that is like create his own line essentially of shoe,
Mm-hmm.
and like this is gonna be like people are gonna want to wear Jordans, and then now it's people have LeBrons, there's Kobe's, there's Steph Curry's, there's um Dwayne Wade has his own shoes. Like a lot of the big name players have partnered with shoe companies to create their own shoe line. It's become a much more common thing than what it was back then, but um, it all started with Jordan. Jordan was the first one to do it. He was the first one that believed, hey, people are going to buy shoes because not because I'm wearing them, but because my name is on them, or because I helped with the design of these shoes. I think that was kind of like very powerful, the belief that he had in himself, even before he was like a superstar in the NBA. Like even when he was just a very good college player, he believed in himself enough that he was like, I can build a brand off of my success. Um,
Yeah, and there's nothing like seeing that man fly through the air with those shoes on.
yeah,
Like the way he soared, the way he moved, the way he just kind of just floated on air. I mean, the Nike Air and Jordan Air Jordan. I mean, it was just perfect. It was marketing genius, and it was like a match made in heaven. Really, you know what I mean? Um, is there a brand that kind of speaks to you like that?
oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, the first one that came to my mind was definitely the swoosh. Definitely, just do it. I think. in terms of like you hear just do it and you're like, yeah, like why aren't I out, why aren't I working out? Why aren't I doing like even outside of just athletics? Like just do
Hmm.
it can apply to anything. Like just do it, like go get stuff done that you're supposed to get done. Like don't sit on your butt and be lazy. Like essentially that's a different way of saying it. Is like don't be lazy. Like do whatever you're supposed to be doing. Um, but that one really resonates with me and just kind of like in terms of being motivational and stuff like that. Um, I mean brands with like logos that I recognize. I'm trying to think. Um,
I mean, there's some bad ones that aren't
I
really
mean,
the best for us, like the McDonald's and Coca-Colas. Those are some of the most worldwide recognizable brands.
yeah, I mean, I was gonna actually say McDonald's. I think I'm not, I mean, I don't go to McDonald's that often. I try to, eat generally pretty healthy, but you see those golden arches and oh, there's McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's
You think
like,
of the fries. You almost smell the
yeah,
fries.
yeah, it's like you like no one like they don't even need to put, like when you're driving on the highway and you see the sign that says like food and they have all the logos, like you don't need to put the name. You just put the M, like the golden arch M, and
Yep.
everyone knows, okay, there's McDonald's. Let's,
Yep.
if that's where we're going, So it's things like that, there's brands like that that immediately, whether it's good or bad, you know what it is. McDonald's and Coke is another one, you see Coca-Cola logo and, honestly, you don't even like if so even if someone showed you a blurred Coca-Cola logo, you see the red and the white, you're probably
Hmm.
thinking, "Oh, it's Coke." Like that's just what it is. So, um those brands are really good as well at branding and getting a brand out there, things like that. So,
What about companies that like broad vision that just paint this huge? They just their every stroke that they paint is with a broad paintbrush, and it's just like these grandiose visions of the future and being bigger and like going places. For me, that would be probably like a SpaceX. Trying to go to Mars and everything they stand for. I mean, watching those rockets take off. I've always been a fan of uh, aeronautics and space travel, and but to see what they've done and see what their mission is, and to see those actual like huge rocket take off and those boosters return back to the launch pad. I mean, what they stand for and what they're trying to do is, I mean, that resonates with me heavy. You know what I mean? That's a company with a big broad vision that you're just like, okay, this is the this is our future here. Being planned right before our eyes. So
yeah, I mean, in terms of the future, I mean, this company is very much in the now, but I also just can't see a world where it's not in the future. But Google, like
yeah.
Google, like it's just like you don't even think like when you think of like going on the internet, like I know like some people's computers may take them to Bing or to some of these other companies. Like it's like no, you look things up on Google. Like people will be like, oh, I don't know this, and someone's like, oh, Google it. Like that literally is like the same thing as looking something up or finding out information is Googling it.
If I use a like say Edge or something and it brings up Bing, I type in Google.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, it's like
It's
Google.
that
Like
way.
I would not be surprised if Google is the most searched thing when you're on like Bing or one of those other like website
Yeah.
browsers because it's like Google is like the first one and it's the most popular one and it's like that's really changed so much of our society is being able to Google things, being able to find out information with
Yeah.
typing a few words and hitting a search button and bam, you get the answer you're looking for.
Yeah. And the funny thing about Bing is like you go on there and it's got all of these. It's so busy. You know what I mean? It has all of these different news articles, all these different the weather, all the stuff. You go to Google, it's just a plain white background with the search and the search bar, the search button, and Google logo. Sometimes they'll change that logo around depending on holidays or events or whatever. It's just simple, clean, and people just have gotten so comfortable. That's the thing about having a lead, in terms of like being a product that comes out first and you refining it and working on it and building it, and then people just trusting it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprising if people do use Bixby and think on Google. You know what I mean? That's the lead that and the brand recognition that Google's built up.
yeah. I mean, everyone knows what Google is. Same thing, like if you've been on the internet, you know what Google is. If you don't, then I I don't think you're telling the truth, to be honest. So, um, yeah, that was
Well, you could be in a foreign country. I remember being in China. I don't think they had Google.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I tried to go to my
Um,
Gmail and it was like, nope.
um, and another one that another giant company, another one of these like billion-dollar companies, Amazon. You know,
Oh my
the
gosh, yeah,
the amount of times that you see packages get delivered, the amount of times you see the Amazon trucks driving by my house every day, it's like it's made convenience just like an unreal thing that we expect now. Like
yeah,
they make things get here in 2 days or less. And before it was like, man, like get something's gonna get here in a week. Like that's good, like it's better than waiting a
hmm
month. Now it's like, oh, this thing can't get here in 2 days. Like what the hell? Like
yeah.
who's running this
That's what's crazy.
organization?
That's what's insane. It's like, yeah, we've gotten so conditioned to getting things so quickly now. It's like Prime. Okay, that should be arriving today. Tomorrow? What are they doing? You know what I mean? Like they don't have this in the warehouse. They can't just send one of the trucks. For me, it's like ink too. Like I run out of ink. I'm like, damn it, I don't have time to go to the store. I'm trying to finish something and quick click of the button and it's here within a few hours.
And what's crazy to me about Amazon is how much they've grown from starting out
Yes.
as essentially like something that's not even close to what it is now, and moving so quickly. And then during the pandemic, they shifted again and partnered with Whole Foods and were delivering grocery. Like, the ability to adapt to the changing circumstances and,
Well,
become exactly what people need at that time.
and that's the beauty of entrepreneurship and vision because I mean, starting off from selling books online,
Yeah.
then like, oh, the books, this is pretty efficient. Now let's move to like regular products and just building product lines and develop like, creating all of the warehouses and in every state to facilitate everything. And now they're pretty much with AWS, they're like, they managed all of that infrastructure, and they just said, hey, why don't we become like a certain like self-service space and be like a cloud-based system? And now that's really their bread and butter. And
Yeah.
obviously he's spun off, Blue Origin now, so it's like, that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. You have all of these different visions, and you can parlay, become successful and conquer this one area and then move on to this next thing. And you never stop dreaming or visualizing or creating, and that's what's beautiful about those companies. What about I had to go here with vehicles and manufacturers, car manufacturers. Anything that speaks to you from? I know you mentioned Tesla, but anything from the car, um, automotive world?
I like Subaru. I like, they all their commercials always, are
They
talking
feel
about
good.
safety, like how their cars are on the road for 20 years, things like that. Like
It feels
to me
wholesome.
that's what, yeah, and it fits with kind of my vibe with like who, like what I want, and like specifically like with disc golf, like I see a lot of disc golfers,
Yep.
driving Subarus. It's kind of like it's just like a kind of a good marriage of, it's like they're very like they fit with like the outdoorsy kind of crowd kind of thing. So um that's personally one of my favorite car brands. I'm not a huge car person. I know you're much more into cars than I am. But that's one that I kind of like. What about you? I know you have a lot you could say about cars, but keeping it somewhat short.
Dodge, obviously, my Hellcat and everything, but I just love their marketing. It's just very testosterone filled, engine, build it bigger, build it stronger, build it faster. So that was what I've appreciated because it started the arms race of building muscle cars again. And I love their commercials. Vin Diesel on there talking about the family of brotherhood of muscle and stuff like that. It's just like So I always love Dodge and what they're doing. They've kind of pivoted now, and some they're going electric and they're which isn't a bad thing, but it's just it takes away the brotherhood of muscle thing. Lamborghini always been a Lamborghini fan. What's so funny about the supercar market is literally, they each one was kind of bred from out of anger, out of disdain, out of because I don't know if you know the story like Ferrari and Lamborghini. Lamborghini, I believe Lamborghini went to Ferrari and was trying to share designs and trying to work with them. And Ferrari is just like, pretty much shut your mouth and know your role. You build tractors, like get the hell out of my office. So Lamborghini's like, screw that, I'll build my own vehicle. I believe the same thing happened with, I want to say, was it somebody went to Lamborghini and the same thing happened, and they're like, screw that, I'll build my own vehicle. I want to say Aston Martin, no, no. But Lamborghini and just pushing innovation and trying to, build the cars more, to be faster, to be more track, to keep them sticking on the road. Always been a Lamborghini fan. Aston Martin, they've been killing the game. I love taking what you see in F1, like you're an F1 fan, you're a racing fan, and implementing in cars that us everyday consumers can drive is huge. With the Valkyrie, another dream vehicle, and then Koenigsegg, Eric, Christian von Koenigsegg. Um, I absolutely love that guy. I love the innovation that he's putting. He pushes the boundaries time and time again. I mean, you should see the new Jamera four-seat vehicle that has the power of a supercar, and I mean, just so much technology in there. He just goes above and beyond, and I can really appreciate that. I was didn't like the design language of Koenigsegg that much. The Jamera I really do like, but I would own one because I just appreciate everything he puts into it, and even putting his namesake in there, his father's name, I believe, putting his the Swiss flag in there, I believe. No, not Swiss flag, the Swedish flag in there. Um, Huge, but yeah, that for cars, those are some of my top. Mercedes AMG one, that's another one. But overall, I love just automotive and the arms race that takes place between each one of the companies, and then being born out of being dissed by the other company, and like I'm gonna form my own company and kill the game. So
Yeah, make makes sense. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna end this episode kind of tying all this back in, branding, how to build a brand to what we've done with Extropian. I think we're still early on in the game.
yeah,
A brand is not as big as it's going to be. But Ricky, talk a little bit about the Extropian brand. What we've done so far, what we still want to do, as far as growing it.
I think first is just the name itself. We've talked about it in a previous episode, one of our first episodes. The name Extropian. For me, I wanted to, throughout thinking about this product, wanting to build this product, visualizing it, like I wanted to have something that I wanted to build something that was just different from anything out there, similar to my experience with like wanting to carry a different type of phone. I think that too much of life is us getting being put in boxes, being put in, And so for me, I want people to be able to step outside that box and have a technology that allows them to step outside the box and to show how special and how different each one of us are. And doing that, having a technology that allows people to do that, but also giving them data that shows that how different, how beautiful each one of us are, how we move differently, how our bodies react differently. And I think we've been building that. Extropian, for anybody that's wanting to know or hasn't heard what the name stands for, it's essentially somebody that advocates the use of technology and science to improve the human condition, make push humanity forward, and that's what I believe our technology is able to do. Then you go to our brain logo, and it's kind of weird how we had that all around because literally it came to my mind even before what I wanted this project to do really evolved. So for me, it was kind of like I just always have been into the human mind, how it works, how limitless the potential of our minds are. And so when I had somebody create the logo, I was just like, let's put a brain up there. But you come back to today and all the things that we're doing, and this has so many meanings. Like we really want to create a product that, like no other product before, has taps into human mindset and human ability, and to show limitless potential. And so the brain became that thing. And then now you look at some of the things that we're doing now, the patent that we're writing now, it all like just came together. It's such a weird thing, you know what I mean? Like it started off just as a random thing that I kind of liked, and then years later, now it's a fully encompassing, fully engrossing logo that it befits fully what we're trying to convey to consumers and what we feel and what the experience we want people to have. So the logo, the name, everything just tied together really well. And we wanted a futuristic name and one that relay the message that we're trying to make humanity better. We're trying to build better individuals. We're trying to help people push past their perceived limits. And we were looking for the name. Sean, you identified it. We ran with it. About to trademark it. No air quotes because we are about to trademark it. Just got to go through the last step. But yeah, that was Extropian, and more than anything else, we can't wait for people to utilize the technology or actually even see what it is and see the benefits it has. Because what we're creating is a symbiotic relationship between machine and man and woman that nobody else has been able to do. And at the end of the day, what that's gonna become is the experience that um, allows you to just at the end of the day, like I said, be the best version of yourself, and that's what we're all about at Extropian is helping people see that they can push past whatever limitation they may have placed on themselves or society placed on themselves.
Yeah, and adding into what Ricky said, there's a lot of intricacies within our logo, within what we've done that he didn't even get to talk about. The brain is made up of a bunch of jagged lines, kind of showing data and how data all ties together, that kind of thing. The colors, our color scheme, black and gold. There's a lot of factors with that. Even the wording, like Extropian, like the font that we used is more of a futuristic font. We want to move towards the future. So there's lots of different things with regards to our branding that we've kind of spent a lot of time on, and making sure that everything kind of matches what we want. But branding's super important. Obviously, Ricky kind of mentioned that already, and you got to make sure that your brand, whatever you create, matches with not only what your product is, but what you see for the future of your company. If you see your company continuing to grow, and like, don't be, you don't have to be exactly what everyone thinks. Like, some people are like, oh, your name has to be super simple, or oh, your name has to be like recognizable from the beginning. It's like, not necessarily. Our name wasn't something that people might recognize and understand immediately, but as long as you have a strong meaning behind it and something that people can kind of
You,
see and be like, oh, that makes sense. That's really cool. Like, that's, I think, what's more important than,
you
you know,
define that. You
yeah,
define
you
what
got
it
you got
is.
to define the name, you got to define your company, and define your messaging, your vision. All of that is going to tie into the branding aspect of it, and it's all super important.
Yeah, 100%, Sean. And I think much like we said about Google and its ability to help you search for anything you want, you should be able to do the same for your body, whether it's your health, whether it's the way you're moving, your performance, where you want to go, where you've been. You know, that's where we're really, the future is going to just be ridiculous with our technology is you're going to know more about yourself than you ever had. You're going to be able to and with in knowing more about yourself, it's going to allow you to do the things you probably thought you couldn't do before. And I think that's the biggest thing I think out of anything, and what we're building towards in the future. And so, much like I said, SpaceX. When you see that company, you're like, man, that's the future. That's what how we want to resonate in the minds of consumers as well. And I think we've shown off the technology, and we tell the story all the time to some of the people we tested with, and that's how they feel. Is like there's some futuristic shit right here.
Completely agree.
So yeah. Anything else you wanted to add about our what we're trying to do, our logo, our brand?
No, I mean we may. I don't know. I think there's lots to talk about with our brand. I'd love to, maybe do another episode on it. If you're listening right now and you enjoyed this, I know we only got to talk about it for maybe like 10 minutes or so, but maybe we can do a whole new episode, just kind of
Yeah.
talking more about it and things like that. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed our thoughts on branding, or the brands that we liked and everything like that. And yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully you continue to watch our podcast and continue to subscribe and follow, support. But yeah, I'll pass
Yeah.
it back to you, Ricky, to close it out.
Yeah, again, if you want to be the best version of yourself and you have some limitation, or somebody's telling you can't do something, or parents, girlfriend, boyfriend, friends, keep following us. Look out for our products. It's going to be a game changer. And like, comment, and subscribe, and also list out products, technologies, brands that resonate with you, and maybe list why as well. So with that being said, like Sean said, we will share more. Like, we'll talk a little bit more about this when we reveal more. It'll make more sense. But we hope everybody has a great, productive week, and thank you for tuning in. See you guys.